Stephen Wilson stood tall as the Royal Zentari guards escorted him through the massive ship. His heart pounded in his chest, but his face remained calm. This alliance would save Earth from the resource crisis that threatened human survival. The price was his marriage to an alien princess. Kate had told him about Princess Lyra, her initial coldness, her change of heart after their survival ordeal. But Stephen still felt unprepared. Nothing could prepare a human for the grandeur of Zentari royalty. Throne room doors opened, revealing a space larger than most Earth buildings. The ceiling sparkled with what looked like stars. Princess Lyra sat on a floating throne. Her purple skin shimmered in the light. Her height nearly twice that of an average human female. Her eyes glowed violet. Stephen approached and bowed. "Your Highness, I am honored to meet you." Lyra studied the human male. He was different from his sister Kate. His shoulders broader, his stance more formal, but she saw the same determination. In his eyes, the same spirit that had impressed her rise human Lyra commanded. She descended from her throne with graceful movements. "The council waits for us." The Zentari High Council chamber buzzed with whispered conversations. The 12 elders all, with skin in different shades of purple and blue, watched as Lyra entered with Stephen beside her. Elder Zix, the oldest council member, spoke first. "Princess Lyra, we have concerns about this alliance. The humans are untested, their technology primitive, their lifespan short. They bring little to the Empire." Stephen felt their dismissal like a physical weight, but he remained silent. This was Lyra's battle to fight. Lyra stepped forward. "I have seen human strength firsthand. It is different from ours, but valuable. They adapt, they cooperate, they show compassion without weakness. They solve problems in ways we have not considered." Elder Nara leaned forward. "But Princess, the marriage tradition requires proof of compatibility. Have you tested this human male for genetic viability?" Stephen tried not to show his shock. Genetic testing had not been mentioned in the diplomatic briefings. Lyra turned to Stephen with an apologetic expression. "The Zentari royal line must remain strong. Human Earth custom allows. Time for partners to know each other before commitment." "Yes," Stephen nodded. "We call it engagement. A time to learn about each other before marriage." The council seemed satisfied with this compromise. Elder Zix spoke again. "Very well. The human may remain aboard the Star Sovereign for 1 lunar cycle. If Princess Lyra deems him worthy, the alliance will proceed later in the royal gardens." Stephen walked beside Lyra. The artificial sky above them showed the stars of distant galaxies. Plants from 100 worlds created a paradise of colors and scents. "Your sister saved my life." Stephen said, "Kate told me about the crash, the pirates." "Your injury," Lyra touched her arm where the scar remained. "She showed me that humans have courage." "I did not expect." Stephen smiled. "We survive by helping each other. No human achieves greatness alone. We need our communities, our families." Lyra stopped beside a fountain of glowing liquid. "What is a human family?" "Like the Zentari, royal children are raised by mentors. We rarely see our parents." Stephen described Earth families, the closeness, the support, the arguments and reconciliations, the holidays and traditions. Lyra listened with growing interest, her questions revealing her curiosity about human ways. A sudden alarm interrupted their conversation. Commander Vex appeared on a floating screen. "Princess, a Dracon warship has been detected. They demand we surrender you to them." Stephen saw fear flash across Lyra's face before her royal composure returned. The Dracon who had attacked. Before, who were they? Why did they want Lyra prepare our weapons? Lyra commanded. "Inform the council. Alert Earth vessel. Harmony of the threat." Stephen touched her arm gently. "Is there something I should know about these?" Dracon Lyra hesitated. "The Dracon are our ancient enemies. They believe I carry the genetic key to unlock Zentari weapon systems. They have hunted me since I was a child." The ship rocked violently as the first Dracon weapons hit their shields. Stephen grabbed Lyra, steadying her. The Zentari guards rushed them toward the command center. From the command center they watched as Zentari fighters launched into space. The battle began. The Dracon ship was massive, nearly twice the size of the Star Sovereign, its weapons more powerful. Commander, Vex looked grim. Our shields will not hold for long, Princess. We must get you to safety. Lyra stood tall. I will not run. This is my ship. These are my people. Stephen admired her courage but recognized the danger. The Zentari fighting alone might not be enough. An idea formed in his mind. Princess, I need to contact the Earth vessel. Harmony Captain Linda Morgan is an exceptional tactician. She can approach from the blind side while your ships engage from the front. Lyra studied his face. This human strategy. Could it work? Commander Vex nodded reluctantly. The Dracon would not expect humans to fight alongside Zentari. Their sensors might dismiss the smaller Earth ship. Lyra made her decision. Make contact. The fate of our peoples may depend on this human alliance. As Stephen hurried to establish communication with Harmony, he realized this battle would test the alliance before it had truly begun. The humans and Zentari fighting together against a common enemy. Would they succeed? Or would ancient prejudices doom them both? The Star Sovereign trembled as another blast hit their shields. The future of two worlds hung in the balance. Lyra stood frozen, her violet eyes wide with shock. What weapon my father would never. The Dracon leader leaned toward the energy barrier, his face twisted with malice. Ask him about Project Stardeath. Ask him why Zentari royals never donate blood. Ask him why your DNA is kept under highest security. Stephen watched Lyra carefully. The princess seemed genuinely surprised by these accusations, her reaction not one of guilt, but confusion. Commander Vex stepped forward. This prisoner speaks lies. Princess, Dracon deception is legendary. The Dracon laughed. The commander knows, the entire council knows, only you, the puppet princess, remain ignorant. Lyra turned to Vex, her voice low but commanding. Tell me the truth, Commander. Is there such a weapon? Vex hesitated, his loyalty clearly torn between king and princess. It is classified, Your Highness, I cannot. That is an answer itself, Lyra said, her posture stiffening. I must contact my father in the royal communication chamber. Lyra prepared to speak with King Zornax. Stephen stood nearby. The princess had insisted he remain despite protocol. The call would be on highest security channels. Stephen spoke softly before the connection was made. Whatever your father says, whatever this weapon might be, it doesn't change who you are, your desire for peace, your willingness to see humans as equals. Those are your choices, not. His Lyra looked at him, gratitude in her eyes. Human wisdom is sometimes surprising. The massive screen flickered to life. King Zornax appeared, his purple skin darker than Lyra's, his eyes cold and calculating. Daughter, you have captured a Dracon leader. This pleases me. Father, Lyra began, I must ask you about Project Stardeath. The king's expression hardened. Who spoke of this? The Dracon. The human. Tell me. I deserve to know. Lyra pressed. If my blood, my genetics are part of a weapon. King Zornax was silent for a long moment, calculating. Then he spoke, his voice like ice. It is not a weapon, daughter. It is salvation. The Zentari birth rate falls each generation. Our genetic diversity narrows. Our scientists predict extinction within 10 generations, unless we find new compatible genetics. Stephen listened carefully. This sounded different from what the Dracon had claimed. The king continued, Royal bloodline carries unique markers, the last to maintain fertility with non-Zentari species. The project seeks to use this to save our people. Lyra frowned. But why keep this secret? Why not tell our people the truth? The king laughed. Truth causes panic. Daughter, control requires careful management of information. The alliance with Earth is part of this plan. Human genetics are surprisingly compatible. We will harvest what we need. Stephen felt cold at these words. Harvest. What exactly did that Me and Lyra seem to have the same concern. What exactly do you mean, Father Harvest? The humans believe this alliance is about resources and protection. King Zornak said dismissively. They will provide genetic material willingly or not, billions of subjects, for our scientists. In return, we allow them to exist. Lyra stepped back in horror. This is not an alliance. This is infiltration. Preparation for invasion. The king shrugged. Such dramatic terms, daughter. It is survival. Our survival. The only thing that matters. The Dracon learned of our plans. They fear what we will become with human genetics added to our own. That is why they hunt you. The key to our future. Stephen maintained his diplomatic composure despite his growing alarm. So the marriage, the political union. It was never about respect or cooperation. Never, the king confirmed coldly. My daughter will extract your genetic material, then discard you. The human leaders will be replaced with our agents. Your planet will serve the Zentari Empire. Lyra, cut the transmission. Her hands shaking with rage. I did not know, she whispered. I swear to you, Stephen, I did not know. Stephen believed her. The horror in her eyes could not be faked. But now they faced an impossible situation. The Zentari king planning to use Earth as a genetic farm. The Dracon determined to stop him by killing Lyra. And caught between them a princess and a diplomat who had begun to care for each other. Commander Vex entered the chamber, his expression grim. Princess, I must place the human in detention. The king commands it. Lyra stepped between them. No. This human is under my protection by royal decree. The ancient laws give me that right. Vex hesitated. The ancient laws did indeed give the princess certain powers. But defying the king, the punishment would be severe. Lyra stood tall, her decision made. Prepare my personal shuttle, Commander. I will take the human to the outer colonies for safety. Vex bowed reluctantly. As you command, Princess. But the king will not be pleased once. Alone, Lyra turned to Stephen, her voice urgent. I cannot let my father use your people this way. We must warn Earth. Stephen nodded. But how the communication channels would be monitored now? The king would expect resistance. We use the Dracon, Lyra said, her eyes brightening with purpose. They have pursued me for years. They have network spies, the enemy of my enemy. The plan formed quickly. Lyra using her royal codes to access the detention level. Stephen using human ingenuity to create a distraction. The Dracon leader watching with suspicious eyes as they approached his cell. Why would you free me, Zentari? The alien growled. To stop a greater evil. Lyra replied. The weapon you fear is real, but not what you believe. My father plans to use human genetics, to revitalize our species, to create a new Zentari race with human adaptability. The Dracon hissed abomination. The natural order must be preserved. Stephen stepped forward. We need your communication technology. To warn my people to prevent war. The Dracon studied them. The Zentari princess. The human diplomat. Strange allies. If I help you, Zentari, what guarantee do I have that you will not activate this genetic weapon yourself? I give you my word. Lyra said, I seek alliance, not domination. I seek understanding, not extinction. The Dracon laughed. Words mean nothing. Then judge me by my actions, Lyra challenged. I could have executed you. I could have let my father proceed with his plan. Instead, I stand before you, offering freedom. For long moments, the Dracon considered. Then he nodded slowly. My ship has fallen, but my personal communicator can reach my people. You will have your warning, human. But know this, if your kind threatens the galaxy, we will return, and no alliance will save you. With the Dracon communicator secured, they made their way to Lyra's shuttle. The royal vessel, small but fast, Commander Vex intercepted them at the launch bay. The king has ordered all ships grounded. Princess. All communications monitored. Lyra faced her commander, her expression determined. Will you stop me, Vex? After all these years of service, Vex looked between the princess and the human, something shifting in his posture. The king's plan. It disturbs me, princess. The old ways, the honor of the Zentari. It is being lost. Help us, Stephen said. Your people deserve better than deception. Earth deserves better than to be harvested. Vex made his decision. I will create a diversion. Princess, you have 10 minutes before security protocols activate. Use them wisely. As Vex hurried away, Lyra touched his arm briefly. Thank you, old friend. The shuttle launched smoothly. Stephen at the controls, Lyra beside him, the massive star sovereign growing smaller behind them, the stars of unfamiliar constellations spreading before them. Lyra activated the Dracon communicator. The alien technology connecting to hidden networks. Stephen transmitted the warning to Earth. The evidence of the king's plan. The need for immediate defensive preparations. When they finished, Lyra sat in silence, her royal composure cracking. I have betrayed my father, my people. Stephen took her hand gently. No, you have saved them from becoming monsters, from losing their honor. The true betrayal would have been silence. Lyra looked at their joined hands, the purple of her skin against his pink human and Zentari. So different. Yet in this moment, united by something stronger than genetics, something the king with all his plans had never considered. We must find a new way forward. Stephen said, not your father's domination, not the Dracon's isolation, but true alliance. True understanding. Lyra nodded. My father will send hunters. The Dracon may still see us as threats. We have few allies. Stephen smiled. We have each other. We have the truth. And sometimes, that is enough to change worlds. The shuttle entered hyperspace. The stars stretching into lines of light. The princess and the diplomat fugitives now. Their future uncertain. But for the first time they faced it truly together. Not as human and Zentari, but as equals, as friends, and perhaps something more. Captain Linda Morgan of the Earth vessel. Harmony received the urgent transmission from Stephen. Her brown eyes narrowed as she processed the information. The Zentari royal ship under attack. The alliance at risk before it even began. Ready all weapons, Linda commanded her crew. Get us behind that Dracon vessel. Those aliens are about to learn that humans fight for their friends. The Harmony was small compared to the massive alien ships, but it was fast and agile. The latest Earth technology packed into a sleek design. Linda guided her ship through the debris of battle, staying out of sensor range. On the Star Sovereign, Stephen returned to the command center. Lyra stood tall, giving orders to her warriors, her voice steady, despite the chaos around them. The ship shuddered as another blast hit their shields. Commander Vex looked grim. Shields at 20%, princess. We cannot withstand another direct hit. Stephen stepped forward. The Harmony is in position. Captain Morgan awaits your signal. Lyra turned to Stephen, her violet eyes meeting his. For centuries the Zentari fought alone. Now we fight with humans. Is your captain ready for the consequences? Stephen nodded. Linda. Morgan was born ready, Your Highness. Lyra raised her hand to the communication. Array, send the signal. The battle that followed would be remembered in the histories of both species. The Zentari ships attacked from the front, drawing Dracon fire. The Harmony swooped in from behind, hitting critical systems with precision. The Dracon never saw them coming. The massive enemy ship began to drift, its weapons disabled, its engines failing. The Zentari fighters closed in for the kill. But the Dracon had one final move. A small shuttle launched from the dying warship, speeding toward. The Star Sovereign Commander Vex tried to target it, but it was too fast, too small. The shuttle crashed through the weakened shields. Slamming into the royal docking bay, alarms blared throughout the ship. Intruder alert. The computer voice announced, Dracon forces have boarded. Level 7. Lyra grabbed a weapon from the wall. Her expression grim. They come for me. They always come for me. Stephen felt fear, not for himself, but for her. Let your guards handle this. You are too important. Lyra shook her. Head no Zentari Royal leads from behind. This is my ship. My responsibility. Commander Vex organized the defense, sending guards to intercept the intruders. But the Dracon were fierce warriors. They fought their way toward the command center. Toward Lyra. The ship internal cameras showed their progress. The Dracon were tall with gray skin and black armor, their weapons cutting through Zentari defenses. 7 of them moving with deadly purpose. Stephen assessed the situation. They would reach the command center soon. The guards could slow them, but not stop them. He turned to Lyra. We need to move you somewhere. Safe. Lyra stood her ground. This is where I make my stand. Human. Stephen admired her courage but recognized the foolishness of it. The alliance, the future of both their peoples depended on her survival. He took her hand gently. I know another way. Through service corridors they moved. Stephen having memorized the ship layout during his diplomatic briefings, Lyra followed. Surprised by his knowledge, they reached the royal quarters, a space few non-Zentari had ever seen. Stephen went to the wall panel. This connects to an escape pod. Yes, Lyra nodded. But I will not. Flea Stephen smiled. Neither of us will. The Dracon expect you to run or fight. They do not expect a trap. Understanding dawned in Lyra's eyes. You wish to use my quarters as bait. Working together they prepared. The trap was simple, but might be effective. They had little time. The sound of fighting grew closer. The Dracon, approaching. When Linda Morgan boarded the Star Sovereign with a team of human marines, she found chaos. Zentari guards engaged with the remaining Dracon intruders. Linda led her team through the battle, their smaller size allowing them to flank the towering alien invaders. Commander Vex directed them toward the royal quarters where Princess Lyra and the human diplomat had gone. The humans moved quickly. Their tactics different from Zentari warriors, but effective. Meanwhile, in the royal quarters, Stephen and Lyra waited. The main doors slid open. 2 Dracon warriors entered, weapons raised. Their black eyes scanning the room. Lyra stood in the center, appearing alone, vulnerable. The Dracon advanced, not noticing the subtle shift in the floor. Beneath them, now Stephen called from his hiding place. Lyra pressed the control panel. The gravity in the center of the room reversed. The Dracon warriors flew upwards, slamming into the ceiling with crushing force, their weapons floating uselessly. 3 more Dracon burst through the doors. These were not fooled. They fired at Lyra. Stephen leapt from hiding, pushing her aside, the energy blast grazing his shoulder. Lyra fired her own weapon. The first Dracon fell. The second advanced Stephen. Despite his injury, grabbed a decorative staff from the wall, using it to deflect the alien weapon. The third Dracon circled, looking for an opening. The fight was brief, but violent. The Zentari princess and the human diplomat back to back against their enemies. When Linda and her marines arrived, they found Stephen standing protectively over an injured Dracon, Lyra beside him, her weapon lowered. The leader lives, Lyra explained. We need answers. Later in the medical bay. Stephen winced as the Zentari healer treated his shoulder burn. The pain was intense, but he remained still. Lyra watched with concern. You risked your life for me, she said. Why? Stephen met her gaze. That is what allies do. Your Highness, they protect each other. The Zentari healer finished her work, leaving them alone. Lyra moved closer, examining the bandaged wound, her fingers gentle on his skin. Your body is fragile compared to Zentari. Yet you fought without fear. Stephen smiled. It was not without fear. Your Highness, I was terrified. But fear does not stop humans when those we care about are in danger. Lyra seemed puzzled. You care about me? We barely know each other. I care about the Alliance. Stephen replied. But yes, I begin to care about you too. Your courage, your strength, your willingness to change. Something shifted in Lyra's expression. A softening, a curiosity, perhaps even the beginning of affection. Human emotions are strange to me, but I find myself wanting to understand them. To understand you, Commander Vex interrupted their moment. Princess, the Dracon leader is conscious. He demands to speak with you. Alone, Lyra straightened her royal posture, returning. I will hear what he has to say, but not alone. The human comes with me. This concerns both our peoples now. The Dracon leader waited in a cell field, his gray skin pale from injury, his black eyes filled with hatred. When Lyra approached, he hissed with recognition. So the last Zentari royal still lives. The genetic key still walks. What do you mean? Lyra demanded. Why do you hunt me? The Dracon laughed a harsh sound. You do not know the secret your father keeps, the weapon your blood can activate. A weapon that will bring the galaxy to its knees. The royal palace of Zentari Prime towered above them, crystal spires reaching toward the purple sky. Stephen and Lyra moved through the service entrance, their false identifications passing the initial security scan. The Alliance agent, a Zentari female, named Mira, met them in a quiet corridor. Follow me, she whispered. The laboratory level is under highest security. The king visits tonight. We must move quickly. Through dimly lit passages they moved, Stephen struggling to keep his breathing steady, his human physiology less adapted to the Zentari atmosphere, the gravity slightly stronger than Earth pulling at his limbs. Lyra stayed close, her presence reassuring. A guard patrol approached. Mira pushed them into an alcove. Wait here. Seconds stretched, into minutes. The sound of armored footsteps passing, then fading. Mira returned, her expression tense. We continue. The schedule has changed. The king arrives earlier than expected. Down they went into the heart of the palace. The security increasing. With each level, Mira using stolen codes to bypass barriers. Lyra occasionally adding her royal authorization, carefully masked to avoid triggering alerts. The laboratory level was eerily quiet. Clinical white walls replacing the crystal and metal of the upper palace preservation tanks lined the corridors, each containing floating tissue samples. Stephen tried not to look too closely. Here Mira indicated a sealed door. The Genetic Research Center, the most secure location in the palace. Only the king and his chief scientist have authorization. Lyra stepped forward, placing her hand on the scanner. Her royal DNA recognized despite her fugitive status. The door slid open, revealing a massive chamber. Machines hummed. Screens displayed complex, genetic sequences. And in the center, a glowing cylinder, the heart of Project Stardeath. Stephen moved to the nearest computer terminal, beginning the download of research files, the evidence they needed to expose the king's plans to the Zentari people. To the galaxy, Lyra examined the central cylinder. This contains genetic samples, from me, from other royals, and these smaller containers, human DNA. Her face paled. My father has already begun collecting. Stephen looked up from the terminal. How many humans, Lyra? Checked the data. Hundreds abducted from remote areas, those who would not be missed. The beginnings of his program anger flared in Stephen. His people harvested like specimens, his world viewed as nothing but genetic material. He focused on the download, almost complete. They would destroy the research, the samples, then expose the truth. The laboratory door slid open. King Zornax stood in the entrance, his massive form blocking the exit, his eyes cold with fury. Daughter, you disappoint me. Guards rushed. In surrounding them, weapons raised, Mira was nowhere to be seen. Betrayed or captured, they could not know. The king approached slowly. You bring a human into the heart of our research. A disguised human at that. He gestured and a guard sprayed Stephen with a chemical. The purple tint fading from his skin, revealing his human appearance. I bring the truth. Father, Lyra said, standing tall. Your plans dishonor the Zentari. The council will not support genetic warfare. The king laughed. The council obeys. Me, daughter. They fear me as they should. As all species should. I do not fear you. Stephen said, stepping beside Lyra. Earth does not fear you. We will not be your laboratory specimens. We will not be harvested. The king studied Stephen with cold curiosity. Such spirit in such a fragile form, the humans will make excellent additions to our genome. Their adaptability, their creativity, their defiance, all useful traits. Once properly controlled, Lyra moved subtly, placing herself between Stephen and her father. Father, there is another way. Alliance Cooperation Earth has much to offer as partners, not subjects. Impossible, the king dismissed. Cooperation requires equals. There are no equals to the Zentari. Only those who serve. And those who will be eliminated. He gestured to his guards. Take the human to the extraction chamber, begin the process. The guards moved forward. Stephen prepared to fight, hopeless though it might be. Lyra tensed beside him. Then a new alarm sounded. The palace emergency system activating. King turned distracted. What is this? On the laboratory screens, images appeared, transmitted throughout the palace, throughout the empire. The king's secret research, the human specimens, the genetic weapon designed to subjugate entire species. The Alliance had succeeded in broadcasting the truth. The king roared with rage. Lies, deception, but his own research filled the screens. His own words, his own plans exposed for all to see. The guards hesitated, uncertain. From the corridor, shouts and weapons fire. The sound of fighting approaching. The laboratory door slid open again. This time revealing Commander Vex. He lives. Lyra gasped. Vex entered, followed by Zentari soldiers bearing the insignia of the High Council. Not the king's guards, but those loyal to Zentari law. The commander bowed to Lyra. Princess, the council has seen the evidence. They revoke the king's authority. They request your immediate presence. The king growled. This is treason. The penalty is death. Vex stood firm. The true treason was, against our people, your majesty, against our honor. The council has spoken. More council guards entered, surrounding the king. His personal guards outnumbered, lowering their weapons. The king looked at Lyra, his eyes burning with hatred. You choose humans over your own kind. Disgraceful, Lyra met his gaze. I choose honor, father. I choose truth. I choose alliance over domination. As a true Zentari, should hours later in the council chamber, Lyra stood before the 12 elders. Stephen beside her. The evidence against King Zornax overwhelming the council, unanimous in their judgment. The king removed from power, placed in isolation. His research destroyed. Elder Zix addressed Lyra. Princess, you have shown great courage, great wisdom. The council asks that you take the throne, lead our people back to the path of honor. Lyra hesitated, looking at Stephen, the human diplomat who had changed everything, who had shown her another way, who had awakened feelings she had never expected to experience. The future of two worlds hangs in the balance, she said. I will accept the throne, but only if the council agrees to true alliance with Earth. Equal partners, equal respect. The humans will not be subjects, but allies. Their unique gifts valued, not exploited. The council murmured among themselves. Then Elder Zix nodded. We agree, Princess. The Zentari must change, or we will truly face extinction. Not of our bodies, but of our spirit, our honor. You will lead us in this new direction. Later on the palace balcony, Lyra and Stephen stood watching the twin moons rise over Zentari Prime. The princess, soon to be queen. The human diplomat, soon to return to Earth to formalize the new alliance. What happens now? Stephen asked. The distance between our worlds is vast. Your duties. As queen, my responsibilities to Earth. Lyra took his hand, her purple fingers intertwining with his pink ones. The Zentari have a saying. Distance means nothing when paths align. Stephen smiled. The humans have a similar saying. Where there's a will, there's a way. Lyra leaned closer, her voice soft. In the old stories, Zentari royals chose consorts from among the stars, those who brought new strength, new vision to the throne. Perhaps this alliance could be more than political. Stephen touched her face gently. On Earth we have a tradition, a ring to symbolize commitment, partnership. A shared path, Lyra smiled, a gesture she had learned from him. And do humans limit this tradition to their own kind? Or might a purple-skinned queen from the stars qualify? Stephen laughed. The beauty of humans, Your Highness, is that we constantly rewrite our traditions, we adapt, we grow, we find new ways forward. As the moons rose higher, they stood together, neither fully understanding the other's world, neither certain of the path ahead, but both committed to finding it. Together, on Earth, preparations began for the new alliance, not based on fear or domination, but on mutual respect, the human capacity for adaptation, the Zentari strength and technology. Combined, they would be stronger than either alone, and if some humans found it strange that their new ambassador to the Zentari Empire would also be consort to the Queen, well, that too was adaptation. That too was finding a new way forward, the alliance of free worlds. Watched with interest the Dracon with suspicion, but across the galaxy a new hope emerged. Peace not through conquest but through understanding, not through force but through connection. In the royal gardens of Zentari Prime, a new plant began to grow, a hybrid species, human flora and Zentari soil combining to create something entirely new, something beautiful, something unexpected, like the princess who had feared marrying a dirty human, until his gentle touch had changed her heart, like the human who had shown her that strength came in many forms. That adaptation was not weakness but power. Two worlds, two species, one future, forged not in the laboratories of conquest, but in the gardens of understanding, in the places where differences became strengths, where fear gave way to hope. And as the stars turned in their ancient patterns, Lyra and Stephen wrote their own story, a story that would be told across worlds for generations to come. The princess and the diplomat who had found a third path. Not human, not Zentari, but something new, something better. Their gentle revolution had begun. The planet Nexus existed in the neutral zone, a trading hub where species from across the galaxy gathered. Neither Zentari nor Dracon controlled it, making it the perfect hiding place. Lyra and Stephen docked their shuttle at an anonymous bay. The princess wore a hooded cloak hiding her distinctive purple skin. The spaceport bustled with activity. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved through crowded markets. Stephen stayed close to Lyra, his height making him stand out among the diverse crowd. Need information? Lyra whispered. News from Earth. From the Empire. Stephen nodded, pointing to a dimly lit establishment ahead. The Universal Relay, a communication hub where for the right price anyone could access galactic news networks. Inside, the air was thick with smoke and strange scents. Beings from a dozen worlds huddled around screens and holographic displays. Stephen approached the counter while Lyra kept watch. A green-skinned female with forearms looked up. Earth News Network access. 20. Credits. Stephen handed over the Zentari currency Lyra had brought. The screen flickered to life, showing an Earth News broadcast. His heart sank as he watched. Earth was mobilizing for war. The Zentari ships in orbit had been asked to withdraw. Captain Linda Morgan of the Harmony had delivered Stephen's warning, the evidence of King Zornak's true intentions, but the king had responded with threats. The situation deteriorating rapidly. Lyra joined him, watching over his shoulder, her face paling beneath its purple hue. My father will not back down. Your people cannot stand against Zentari technology. Stephen knew she was right. Despite Earth's advances, the Zentari were centuries ahead in weapons technology. The coming conflict would devastate his world. They paid for Zentari news next. The Empire was in turmoil. Reports of Princess Lyra's treason spreading. Commander Vex had been executed for aiding their escape. The royal bloodline declared tainted King Zornax, announcing a new era of Zentari supremacy. Lyra turned away, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. So much death coming because of me. Because of my blood. Stephen led her to a quiet corner. We need allies, Lyra. Not just Earth. Not just the few Zentari who might question your father. The Dracon message, did it go through? Lyra nodded. But the Dracon are isolationists. They may simply watch as our worlds destroy each other. A shadow fell across their table. Stephen looked up into the face of a stranger. The alien was tall with blue skin and silver eyes. Neither Zentari nor Dracon, a species he did not recognize. You seek allies, the stranger said in a low voice. There are others who oppose Zornax's plan who fear what the Zentari might become with human genetics. Follow me if you wish to learn more. Stephen and Lyra exchanged glances. A trap, perhaps. But what choice did they have? The stranger led them through back alleys and hidden passages, deep into the heart of the trading station, to a sealed door that opened at his touch. Inside a group waited representatives, from species Stephen had never seen before. The blue-skinned alien spoke. We are the Alliance of Free Worlds. Princess Lyra. We have watched the Zentari Empire expand for centuries. We know what your father plans and we cannot allow it. Lyra stepped forward, removing her hood, revealing her royal features. I stand against my father. His plan dishonors the Zentari. It threatens not just humanity but all independent worlds. An elder female with crystalline skin rose. This one speaks truth. I sense no deception. But how can we trust Zentari royalty? The very bloodline that threatens us all. Stephen moved to Lyra's side. She risked everything to warn my people. She turned against her father, her position, her safety. If you seek proof of character, look no further. The gathered representatives murmured among themselves. Finally, the blue alien spoke again. I am Sarix of the Tellurian Conclave. We have a proposition, Princess. A way to stop your father without war, a way to save both your peoples. The plan was audacious. The Alliance of Free Worlds had agents throughout the galaxy, including within the Zentari Royal Palace. They had discovered the truth about Project Stardeath. It was not just about using human genetics to revitalize the Zentari. The King's scientists had found a way to use Lyra's unique DNA to create a genetic weapon, one that could rewrite the DNA of entire populations. If the King controlled both Lyra and access to human genetic material, he could potentially create a master race, a new Zentari, human hybrid species under his control. That was what the Dracon truly feared. Not extinction but subjugation. The Alliance proposed a daring mission. Return to the royal palace, infiltrate the laboratory, destroy the research and expose the King's plans to the Zentari people. It is suicide, Lyra said. The palace defenses. The King's guards, we have people inside. Sarix replied, they will help, but we need you, Princess. Your royal codes, your genetic signature, and we need the human. His world depends on this as much as ours. Stephen considered the dangers, the near impossibility of success, but the alternative was worse. War, devastation, the potential enslavement of humanity. I volunteer, he said simply. Lyra looked at him, her violet eyes wide with concern. You do not understand the danger, Stephen. The palace is a fortress. My father will kill you without hesitation. Stephen took her hand. I understand perfectly, Your Highness. But on Earth we have a saying. We would rather die on our feet than live on our knees. My people will not become genetic material for your father's experiments. I would risk everything to prevent that. Lyra studied his face, seeing the determination there. The human courage that had first impressed her aboard the Star Sovereign. She turned back to the Alliance representatives. I too will go, but I have conditions. The preparations took days. Training in Alliance techniques, memorizing palace layouts, creating false identities. Stephen underwent treatments to temporarily alter his appearance. His skin tinted slightly purple, his eyes enhanced to glow faintly like a Zentari. The disguise would not withstand close inspection, but might allow him to move through the palace unnoticed. Lyra trained him in Zentari customs, the proper way to bow to nobles, how to address servants. The thousand subtle details that would betray him as human if he erred. In turn, Stephen helped Lyra understand human resilience, human adaptability. The qualities that had made Earth interesting to the Zentari in the first place. The qualities that might save them both. They grew closer in those days of preparation, the princess and the diplomat. Their initial wariness giving way to respect, then to friendship, then to something neither of them named but both felt growing. The night before the mission, they stood on an observation deck of the Alliance base, the stars of unfamiliar constellations shining above them. Lyra spoke softly. "If we succeed, my father will be exposed. His plans ruined the Centauri people will need a new leader," Stephen said, "one who values alliance over domination." Understanding over control, Lyra turned to him. "You believe that could be me? After everything that has happened?" Stephen nodded. "I have seen your heart. Lyra, your courage, your compassion. You could lead your people to a better future. A true alliance with Earth, with all free worlds." Lyra touched his face gently, her purple fingers tracing the outline of his jaw. "And what of us? Human and Centauri, royal and diplomat. What future could we have?" Stephen caught her hand, pressing it against his cheek. "We make our own future, Lyra. That is what humans do. We do not accept the limitations others place upon us. We find a way. We always find a way." For a moment they stood in silence, the gravity of tomorrow's mission hanging over them, the possibility that one or both might not return. Then Lyra leaned forward, pressing her forehead against his in the traditional Centauri gesture of deepest affection. "I begin to understand why my father feared human influence," she whispered. "Your kind dreams without limits. It is terrifying and wonderful." The Alliance ship approached the Centauri homeworld under false identification. The planet glowed purple and blue beneath them, the royal palace visible even from orbit. A massive structure of crystal and metal Serix briefed them one final time. "Our agent will meet you in the lower levels. Security rotation changes at midnight. You will have exactly 47 minutes to reach the laboratory, obtain the research, and plant the evidence exposing the king's plans to the Centauri." "High Council." Stephen checked his disguise one last time. The purple tint to his skin, the subtle glow of his enhanced eyes. Not perfect, but perhaps enough. Lyra beside him had abandoned her royal garments for the simple clothes of a palace worker, her regal bearing harder to disguise. "Are you ready?" she asked him. Stephen nodded, as ready as one can be to infiltrate an alien palace and thwart a galactic tyrant. Lyra almost smiled at his attempt at humor. The human capacity to find lightness even in darkness, another trait that fascinated her. The shuttle descended toward the palace, the moment of truth approaching, the fate of two worlds resting on a princess who had rejected her father's path and a human diplomat who had shown her another way.